Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Lorekeeper, the series where we dive into the histories of the Ether and Dark Ether storylines. In this episode, we will be discussing the lore behind Germany's Projekt Endstation. The organization was founded on August 3rd, 1943 by Dr. Ulrich Vogel and Dr. Lucas Kurtz, in approval of Dr. Kurt Deibner of the Uranverein, who provided the funding for the facility. The purpose of Projekt Endstation was the study and weaponization of atomic research. The facility was to be constructed in a forest located in Morasko, Poland. Prisoners from a nearby internment camp were to be employed during the construction. Amongst Dr. Vogel and Dr. Kurtz, no other named scientists were known, with the exception of Dr. Oskar Strauss. However, upon Projekt Endstation's focus of atomic weaponry, Dr. Strauss requested immediate transfer. He got his wish, but he was transferred to work under Dr. Friedrich Steiner, who was in the midst of developing a bioweapon called Nova 6. Perhaps you've heard of it. Back onto Projekt Endstation itself. Within the facility was a large particle accelerator, being the main place of operations for the facility. To the left from the main power room is the weapons lab. Here you can see a large atomic bomb that was in the middle of construction before being abandoned, presumably due to future events that we will be getting into soon enough. On the other side of the weapons lab is the medical bay. We'll go into more detail of this room shortly as well. So let's move forward. On March 7th, 1944, Drs. Vogel and Kurtz are about to perform their 12th test run with the cyclotron. Dr. Kurtz had applied some modifications to the particle accelerator, and everything was proceeding as normal until suddenly the cyclotron began to show new and unique patterns. As the gauges jolted into the red zone, a tear in reality opened in the center stage. The scientists near the newly formed tear dropped dead, then immediately began to rise back onto their feet. Their physical appearance was altered, looking as though they've been dead for weeks, possibly months. The dead darted towards the living, some succumbing in the ensuing conflict. The guards assisted in evac, as well as locking the turret in the particle accelerator room. Eventually the undead were contained and restrained in the medbay, where they've been undergoing tests. While Vogel attended to the infected, Dr. Kurtz continues to study the rift that still remains within the facility. Upon further inspection, Dr. Kurtz believes the tear, or as he calls it, the wormhole, acts as a gateway to another dimension. The rift and the undead were reported to the Uranverein immediately. To Vogel's surprise, the Reichstag expressed interest in their literal breakthrough, encouraging further study of this other dimension and the undead that came with it. One of their early discoveries was that time flows differently in the other dimension, known as the Dark Ether. The Führer expressed interest in that aspect alone. Upon extracting essence from the turned subjects, along with poking tools into the rift itself, the staff of Projekt Endstation discovers a brand new element which they call Exo-Element 1, or as Dr. Kurtz suggested, Vogelium. The more popular terminology for the element, however, is Ethereum. With this discovery, two devices were to be constructed. The decompressive isotopic estrangement machine, better known as the dye machine. This device was designed to tear the essence out of the undead specimens for harvesting. However, after an accidental ejection of the collected material that wound up destroying Dr. Vogel's personal vehicle, the device was given a design change, becoming the first wonder weapon. The dye machine was given 4 variants that housed elemental charges of their own, one of fire, ice, electricity, and gas, with the gaseous one being an early form of Nova 6, the not-so-cleverly named Nova 5. The other device was der Weschler. The Weschler's purpose was to restore brain functionality in those who suffered the unfortunate fate of turning. Only having partial success, it was a vital piece in Requiem's time in the facility. Sometime after this, Dr. Vogel creates the Wunderwaffe DG-2 at a base located in the Japanese swamps nicknamed Shinonuma. Another group under the Reich's jurisdiction known as Die Wachheit would come into possession of the Wunderwaffe DG-2 during the events of Call of Duty Vanguard. But back to the main Projekt Endstation lore. In December of 1944, the Uranverein and the Reichstag approved of Operation Balder. The operation was to consist of a special task force entry into the Dark Ether dimension, where they will remain until the time is right, ambushing the enemy from the other side and getting revenge, guaranteeing the survival of the Third Reich. Following the approval, the construction of a second Projekt Endstation facility, located beneath Berlin, was in progress. The Morasko facility and the Berlin facility were to work in unison for this operation. Alongside it was a conversion machine that converted Ethereum-rich specimens into refined crystals. To assist in the collection of these Ethereum-rich specimens, Kurtz invented the EE-1 harvester unit, which absorbed the specimen's essence upon death. With everything in order, Task Force Balder was sent into the Dark Ether, with Dr. Vogel maintaining the rift's steadiness. His sacrifice to stay behind meant that he had to abandon his daughter Angelica. He asked Dr. Lucas Kurtz to take Angelica in his stead. Vogel was not seen ever again. Whether he wound up dragged into the Dark Ether or simply died of other causes isn't 100% known, but considering the Forsaken has his form in the not-so-distant future, one can presume it's the former. And as for the fate of the soldiers that entered the Dark Ether, it didn't take long for them to perish and join the undead hordes that roamed these hellish lands. When the Forsaken reigned over the realm, Task Force Balder became soldiers within his own army. Though their history ended comedically and abruptly, their legacy lived on. If not for their accidental opening of the Dark Ether, then the arms race between Requiem and Omega Group, the battle against Die Wahrheit, or even the outbreak in Urzikstan wouldn't have ever happened, and the creation of wonder weapons, or even the dimensional rifts, are all thanks to them. And that's everything on Projekt Endstation, as of right now, as who knows if they will become important again. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.